Welcome back to another episode of the Football Game Tonight podcast. I'm your host, John Kuzma. In this latest episode, we're going to talk about the Bears having the number one pick in the upcoming NFL draft. So that's where we're going to start. The Bears have the number one pick in the upcoming NFL draft. And if they get this pick right, it can alter the trajectory of their franchise. This pick means so much to the Bears. If they get this decision right, they're going to set themselves up for success. So really, you have to wonder what's the best option for the Bears. Do they stick with Justin Fields and trade down the number one overall pick, or do they take Caleb Williams? To me, Justin Fields makes all the sense in the world because Justin Fields is incredibly talented. He's been held back by a bad football team, and he's beloved by the fan base. I think Justin Fields has gotten better since he's arrived in Chicago. I do think he's been held back by a bad supporting cast and by a bad team. And I think Justin Fields is starting to iron out the wrinkles and becoming more comfortable as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So when you have a guy that's making strides and things are starting to get better, you probably want to stick with him. Not only that, teams are willing to make a huge offer for that number one overall pick. This is a huge opportunity for the Bears because if they trade down, they're going to get multiple first-round picks because teams want Caleb Williams so bad. So that really is an opportunity for the Bears. They can take advantage of that by trading down and, getting these teams to put together this huge package to get Caleb Williams. Well, that opens the door for the Bears. Why would they not capitalize on that and get multiple first-round picks where they can add all these different pieces to their team and make the team better overall, which will make the team better and make Justin Fields better. So I think when you have the chance to trade down like that and add through free agency and, add through all those additional draft picks that you're going to get, collectively, that's the best move for this team. You can't tell me that's not the best move for this team. I think that's the best option for the Bears. You keep Justin Fields, you trade down, you get all these additional draft picks, not only first-round picks, mid-round picks, late-round picks, and you make this team better across the board. Then you have Justin Fields who's, getting better each year and getting more comfortable each year, and then you keep building the team up around him. I think Justin Fields is good enough to make the most out of that shot. I think, to me, that's the best option for the team. I think that's the direction the Bears should go. Stick with Justin Fields, trade down, get all those additional draft picks, get better through free agency as well. And when you make all those additions to this team, you're going to see a big change for the Bears. I still think Justin Fields is the right guy to lead this team into the future. So to me, it's a no-brainer. You stick with Justin Fields, you trade down, you get better from all those additional draft picks, you get better through free agency, you allow Justin Fields and DJ Moore to keep growing their relationship as a quarterback and wide receiver. Hey, that's the move I would make if I was the Bears. The next thing we have to talk about is Caleb Williams sold on being a Bear. Colin Cowherd talked about how Caleb Williams didn't want to go to Chicago, but then Caleb Williams' camp reached out to Colin Cowherd and kind of pushed back a little bit. And the reason they did this is because they didn't want to make public statements, via Cowherd that they didn't want to play for the Bears, because if on draft night the Bears draft him, then Caleb Williams has to deal with this headache because now the Bears fan base is mad at Caleb Williams because he didn't want to be a Bear. Now the Chicago community is wondering if Caleb Williams was the right move because he said that he wasn't sold on Chicago. And I actually believe Colin Cowherd on this one. I actually believe that Caleb Williams doesn't want to be a Bear. I think he would rather be with Commanders, with Cliff Kingsbury. We've heard about how Cliff Kingsbury and Caleb Williams have a great relationship and would like to pick up where they left off because they worked together at USC. I think Caleb Williams would rather be a Raider out in Las Vegas. If the Raiders could move up and make a move for that number one spot, I think Caleb Williams has other destinations that he would prefer. I think there's better options for Caleb Williams and from his point of view. And to me, if Caleb Williams isn't sold on being a Bear, why would the Bears draft him? You have Justin Fields, this guy that's there doing everything he can to get better, who's taking his licks, who's, at least at the start of his career with the Bears, was in a bad situation, dealing with all these head coaching changes, offensive coordinator changes, never really given a fair shot at success in the NFL, but just kept gritting his teeth and pushing through the pain and fighting for that Bears franchise. Justin Fields is all in. Is Caleb Williams all in? Now, don't get me wrong. Caleb Williams wants to have success in the NFL. He's going to give everything he has. But is he really sold on going to Chicago? I have my doubts. And I think Caleb Williams was doing a little bit of damage control when he said, hey, we're not anti-Chicago. I think there's a little bit of truth to that situation, and Caleb Williams was trying to downplay that just in case the Bears do draft him. Trading down, though, is a golden opportunity for the Bears. You don't always get these kind of opportunities which can alter the trajectory of your franchise, and the Bears have that right now. They have that golden opportunity where if they trade down and they get, 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, who knows what the offer would be, but it's probably going to be pretty big for Caleb Williams because these teams want Caleb Williams so bad. And if these teams, the Commanders, the Raiders, the Broncos, whoever it is, maybe the Patriots, if these teams want to get better at the quarterback position, and Caleb Williams will certainly make these teams better at the quarterback position, they're going to cough up a serious offer to the Bears to get that deal done. So for the Bears, this is a golden opportunity that they can't squander. And I know Caleb Williams would help a lot, and I know Caleb Williams would kind of re-energize the franchise a little bit. But without those additional draft picks that they would get from trading down, how much better is the team going to be? You need those additional draft picks to really bolster this roster. And you need those draft picks to take that next step. If you bring Caleb Williams in, you're almost in the same situation that you were with Justin Fields. Yeah, you'll get a little bit better with those 2 through 7 picks. Yeah, you'll get a little bit better with the free agency. But you need those additional draft picks to set you up for years to come. Not only this year, and in next year's draft too. The only way you get that golden opportunity is by trading down. So that's an opportunity that the Bears can't pass on. Who cares what people are saying? Who cares if all these fans want Caleb Williams? There's a lot of fans that love Justin Fields too. Don't botch this golden opportunity. Capitalize on it, trade down, and set your team up for years to come. Here's the other thing about Caleb Williams. The Bears' offense has always been their Achilles heel. You can go back to the 85 Bears. It was all about the defense. The Mitchell Trubisky era, when they were in the playoffs and had the double doink, the Bears' defense was really good with Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. The Bears' offense has always been their Achilles heel. So if you bring Caleb Williams in to a team that has been historically bad on offense, has always been a defensive-first football team, Caleb Williams can be held back by a bad situation too. We've seen it happen with Mitchell Trubisky. We've seen it happen with Justin Fields. You're telling me it's just going to suddenly stop happening with Caleb Williams? I have my doubts. And I think the Bears are actually starting to figure things out on the offensive side of the ball after a really long time with Justin Fields. DJ Moore, that trade was huge for this team because now they have this nucleus on the offensive side of the ball with Justin Fields and DJ Moore. That was a step in the right direction for the Bears. Personally, if I'm in charge, if I was Ryan Poles, I'm going to continue to build on that. Because if you trade down and, you trade down to number 2 and the Commanders move up to get Caleb Williams and they give you all this draft capital, what does that open up for the Bears? You get Marvin Harrison Jr. You keep Justin Fields, you have DJ Moore, and you add Marvin Harrison Jr. Guess what? The Bears can finally shake that bad label of being a bad offensive football team if you have Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr., and DJ Moore. Stop and think about that. Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr., and DJ Moore. If you're a historically bad football team, don't you think that's the better option for your team to kind of change history, rewrite history, and become a good offensive football team for the first time maybe ever? I mean, this team has struggled on offense, and to me, if I'm trying to figure out an identity on the offensive side of the ball, it's a no-brainer. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr., and the additional draft picks that you're going to get from trading down. To me, that's the best move for the Bears. Fields also has a head start over Caleb Williams. Why? Because he's more familiar with the players on this roster. He already has a year under his belt with DJ Moore. He's already familiar with Cole Kmet. He's already familiar with Darnell Mooney. So if those guys have ironed out the wrinkles and got their rhythm and timing down from a quarterback wide receiver perspective, well, if you bring in Caleb Williams, those guys have to get on the same page and figure everything out and get used to playing with each other and get used to the team's strengths and weaknesses, what side of the offensive line is stronger or worse. And there's a learning curve there. Justin Fields has a head start on Caleb Williams because he has a lot of those questions already figured out. He knows where the pressure is most likely going to come from. He knows how DJ Moore likes to run his routes and where he likes the placement on his footballs that are thrown to him. He knows that if DJ Moore sees a cover 2, that DJ Moore likes to go vertical on top of the corner, outside shade towards the sideline so that safety doesn't come over top and hit him. It's little nuances in the game that you guys start to understand about each other. And I'm talking about, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line that really make a team tick. And it's that understanding and the relationships you have with your teammates and how you feed off each other. All those things go into making a successful football team. And to me, Fields has a head start over Caleb Williams because he has a lot of those things already figured out. Caleb Williams would have to come in. He would have to get to know everybody. He would have to work out the rhythm and timing with all those wide receivers. Or you can get a year head start by staying with Justin Fields. Justin Fields and DJ Moore had a pretty good first year together. Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney have had a lot of time together. Cole Kmet, stick with what you have now and keep building on what you have because you have a real shot at making a change on the offense side of the ball. And when you have that opportunity and when you look at the Bears pass, you have to stick with what you have and keep getting better with Justin Fields. Fields has shown flashes of brilliance with a bad supporting cast, too. I mean, yeah, it got better when DJ Moore got traded there this past year, but before that, what did Justin Fields have to work with? All the offensive coordinator changes, the head coaching changes, a lack of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Darnell Mooney was his best wide receiver, but outside of that, he didn't really have anything. He was running for his life on all those plays. That kind of takes me to my next point. If you have a bad offensive line, which quarterback would you rather have? Would you rather have the ultra athletic Justin Fields who can throw on the run, or would you have Caleb Williams who's kind of a sitting duck back there? Caleb Williams can pick teams apart, but he needs an offensive line to give him time to get through his progressions. Justin Fields is the better quarterback with the bad offensive line. And Justin Fields, like I said, has been held back by a bad team and a bad offense and a lack of talent around him. So even if Caleb Williams came in, he would be coming into a much better situation than Justin Fields came into. Justin Fields, got some help with the DJ Moore trade, but Caleb Williams would have, if he gets drafted, he never had to go through this team without DJ Moore. He never had to go through this team when Darnell Mooney was basically all they had. I mean, it wouldn't even be a fair assessment because Caleb Williams would automatically look better because DJ Moore would be there. DJ Moore is at least a true number one wide receiver. And, DJ Moore has already publicly stated that he would like to stick with Justin Fields. So if your number one receiver is vocal about keeping the quarterback that he has there, I mean, just go down the list. You're starting to see the obvious that Justin Fields is the right answer for the Bears. I mean, there's just so many things, so many boxes that he's checking. And, the situation's getting better. It's not just the opportunity to get Marvin Harrison Jr. either. There's other options available for the Bears if they trade down. I mean, you could get Keon Coleman later on in this draft. You could go a different route and build up your defense. You have so many options on the table. Now, personally, I would love to see an offense with Justin Fields, DJ Moore, and Marvin Harrison Jr. But, if they trade down, they could even trade down again. They could trade down from number 1 to number 2 with the Commanders, and then they could trade down again and add even more draft capital. The point I'm trying to make is the opportunities are endless. You could do anything. You could take the best defender and then take Keon Coleman later on. I mean, it's just a great opportunity to build this team up across the board on all these different positions if you trade down. And you don't have that opportunity if you draft Caleb Williams. And what if you bring Caleb Williams into this team and things don't work out? He's taking a lot of sacks, getting beat up like some of the other quarterbacks we've seen around the league. I mean, we've seen it how many times in the past before where these quarterbacks are just getting hammered, taking all these sacks. The abuse starts to pile up. The quarterback starts losing his confidence. I mean, we've seen it happen so many times in the National Football League. I think about when Deshaun Watson was kind of overcoming a bad situation with the Houston Texans, and he was just getting hammered, taking all these sacks. And yeah, he was still making plays because he's a good football player. But, when you take all those sacks, it's easy to lose a little bit of confidence. It's easy to get frustrated with the situation and maybe check out a little bit. I don't think the Bears can take that risk with Caleb Williams, take the golden opportunity, find a way to get better. So really, to me, when I step back and I look at this situation, it's all about Justin Fields. It's all about Justin Fields. It's all about the golden opportunity. It's about adding Marvin Harrison. It's about, changing this offense into something better. Remember, Mitchell Trubisky took a lot of heat because he missed a lot of throws. And there's no doubt that from a passing perspective, Mitchell Trubisky lacked a little bit of talent. But we do have to be honest. That team was winning games and was a playoff team with Mitchell Trubisky. But even then, they were so bad on offense. And you go from the Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky era where they were a bad offensive football team. And now you're already almost through Justin Fields' first contract. And they're still a bad football team, but they're finally getting better. I mean, for a team that's finally getting better on offense, what are you going to do? Are you going to pass on the golden opportunity and take Caleb Williams and, yeah, you get Caleb Williams, but you don't have that extra first round pick next year. To me, you got to go Justin Fields, get the extra first round picks, and then this year, next year, the mid round picks, the late round picks. That's the way this team can get out of this offensive drought that they've been on. I want to say going back to the Mitchell Trubisky era, but it's a lot longer than that. I mean, it's been a long time that the Bears have been trying to figure it out on offense. And like I said, going all the way back to the 85 Bears, what were the 85 Bears known for? They were all about that defense, that 4-4, 4-6 Bear defense that, really was the reason they were one of the best football teams of all time in 1985. And, to get past all that bad offense, it's going to take more than just a quarterback. Because if it took just a quarterback, Justin Fields would have figured this thing out by himself. I don't think Justin Fields is a bad player. The flashes of brilliance with a complete lack of talent around him tell you something. They're an indicator that Justin Fields might be more talented than we realize. It's a team game, folks. It's a team game. It's hard to be a great quarterback when you're on a bad football team with a bad offensive line and no weapons. A quarterback can be held back by that. So Justin Fields, you stick with them. You capitalize on the golden opportunity. You add Marvin Harrison Jr. if you get that opportunity. You use those additional draft picks to keep adding pieces that will get this team better. I think you got to go defense a little bit here. Recently you lost Khalil Mack and you lost Roquan Smith. You got to get better on defense. You got to bring in some alpha dogs on that defense that can set the tone and, kind of lay the law on these offenses and make the Bears respected on defense too. If you stick with Justin Fields and you go with the golden opportunity, you're going to be able to get some of those defenders as well. So not only are you keeping Justin Fields, who's a pretty good quarterback, you're getting Marvin Harrison Jr. if you can trade down to that 2, maybe even that 3 spot. He still might be there because it might go Caleb Williams, Drake May, then Marvin Harrison Jr. might still be there. And then you have a shot in next year's draft to get some alpha dog defenders too that are going to kind of get this team closer to what they were with Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. Because, Khalil Mack, one of the best, edge rushers in the league this past year, he tore it up for the Chargers. Had all those sacks for the Chargers this past year. Roquan Smith made the Ravens so much better on the defensive side of the ball. That team has completely changed into a true contender since Roquan Smith got there because they're so physical on the defensive side of the ball. And, they made it to, the AFC Championship game because Roquan Smith was just putting the clamps on everybody. The Bears lost some talent when they shipped those 2 guys out. So if you have a chance to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and get a couple defenders in next year's draft too that can kind of get this thing back on track as a whole, you're telling me you're going to pass on that? You're telling me that Caleb Williams alone is a better choice than that? I'm not buying it. Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison, and maybe a couple first-round picks next year that can go to the defensive side of the ball is a better option than drafting Caleb Williams. You can't tell me it's not. I won't believe it. Justin Fields is the better option. It's a no-brainer. Really, that's all I got for this latest episode of the Football Game Tonight podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can check us out wherever podcasts are located. Tune in to Football Game Tonight. I'm John Kuzma. I'm your host. I'm signing off. Thanks for listening.